Imagine leaving Earth, only to discover that the world you left behind no longer exists. In 1991, a man named Sergei Krikalev launched into space as a proud citizen of the Soviet Union. When he finally returned to Earth, the Soviet Union was gone. Borders had shifted, governments had collapsed, history had rewritten itself, and for 311 days, floating above a planet that was reinventing itself, Sergei Krikalev became something no one had ever been before, the last citizen of a vanished empire. This is his story. This is Maktoub. History, mysteries, and stories meant to be told. Sergei Krikalev was not a symbol when he launched into space. He was a highly trained Soviet cosmonaut, an engineer, and a disciplined professional chosen to travel aboard the orbital space station Mir, the crown jewel of Soviet technological achievement. The mission was simple: 5 months in space, scientific experiments, routine maintenance, then return home. On May 18, 1991, he launched from the Baikonur Cosmodrome aboard a Soyuz spacecraft. Below him stretched the vast territory of the Soviet Union, still officially one of the most powerful nations on Earth. Above him waited Mir, a symbol of national pride, a technological miracle orbiting the planet every 90 minutes. At that moment, nothing suggested that Krikalev would soon become part of one of the strangest chapters in human and political history. While Krikalev floated in microgravity, Earth was changing faster than he could imagine. Back on the planet, the Soviet Union was entering its final days. Economic collapse spread across the republics. Political instability erupted. Independence movements grew stronger with each passing week. In Moscow, protests filled the streets. In Eastern Europe, communist governments fell one by one. And within months, the Soviet Empire began to disintegrate. Then came the message that would change everything. A message no astronaut in history had ever received. The country that sent you to space no longer exists, and we no longer have the money to bring you home. Sergei Krikalev was now stranded in orbit. His mission was extended again, and again, and again. At first, it was a technical decision. Then it became political. Then it became financial. And eventually, it became symbolic. Krikalev had become the reluctant last citizen of the Soviet Union. He orbited the Earth while maps were redrawn beneath him. Cities changed names, flags changed colors, governments disappeared overnight. But above the atmosphere, time moved differently. Space is unforgiving. With every passing day, Krikalev's body paid the price of survival in microgravity. His bones lost calcium, his muscles weakened. Radiation exposure increased his lifetime risk of cancer. Isolation pressed against him like gravity no longer could. Imagine watching the sunrise 16 times a day and still feeling completely alone. There was an escape capsule aboard Mir. He could have returned early, but leaving would have meant abandoning the station. And if Mir had been left unattended, it could have drifted, failed, and potentially fallen back to Earth uncontrollably. So Sergei Krikalev made a decision that defined his legacy. He stayed, alone, guarding a space station and the ghost of a collapsing nation. Meanwhile, the newly formed Russian Federation faced a devastating economic crisis. The space program, once the pride of the Soviet Union, suddenly struggled to survive. To keep Mir operational, Russia began selling seats on space missions to foreign countries: Japan, Austria, Germany. For the first time, space travel became commercial, and Sergei Krikalev, remained its silent guardian, floating between past and future. What was meant to be a 5-month mission became nearly a year. 311 days in space. 311 days watching history collapse and rebuild from above. And finally, on March 25, 1992, Sergei Krikalev returned to Earth. But Earth was no longer the world he left. His capsule touched down in the steppes of Kazakhstan, but Kazakhstan was no longer part of the Soviet Union. Rescue teams opened the hatch. Inside was a man struggling to stand after nearly a year in weightlessness. His suit still bore the letters CCCP. In his hands, he carried the flag of a nation that no longer existed. His hometown, Leningrad, had been renamed St. Petersburg. His salary, 600 rubles, was barely enough to buy a kilogram of sausage. Everything had changed, except him. Disciplined, calm, loyal to the very end. 2 years later, Sergei Krikalev was awarded the title Hero of Russia. He later flew with NASA. In his hands, he carried the flag of a nation that no longer existed. His hometown, Leningrad, had been renamed St. Petersburg. His salary, 600 rubles, was barely enough to buy a kilogram of sausage. Everything had changed, except him. Disciplined, calm, loyal to the very end. 2 years later, Sergei Krikalev was awarded the title Hero of Russia. He later flew with NASA. He became the first human to reach the International Space Station. He was also the last human to leave the Mir space station before it was decommissioned. He became a bridge between two eras of human space exploration, between Cold War rivalry and international cooperation, between an empire that vanished and a future humanity continues to build among the stars. Sergei Krikalev did more than survive space. He witnessed the fall of one of history's most powerful empires from orbit. He became the living reminder that history does not always change on the battlefield. Sometimes, it changes while someone is watching the Earth from above. History is often written by those who remain on Earth, but sometimes, history is witnessed by those who leave it behind. Sergei Krikalev returned to a different world, yet he remained the same man who had launched into the unknown with discipline, courage, and loyalty. Perhaps he was the last man to carry the dream of an empire among the stars. And perhaps he was the only one who truly kept his promise until the very end. If stories where history meets human destiny fascinate you, if you are curious about the hidden moments that changed our world, and if you believe some stories deserve to be remembered, then you are already part of this journey. Subscribe to Maktoub and discover the stories that were meant to be told. Because some stories are not random, some stories are written.